What is up, everyone? Chris Manning here. Evan Damrell's with me, and we've got two very special guests, Carter Rodriguez, Justin Rowan from the Chase Down. A little second part of a little live fest we're doing. We're gonna get into more stuff. We're gonna talk a little Rajon Rondo. Justin has a Cavs Grizzlies pointy he would like to get off his chest that we're gonna start with. So Justin, you're on the spot. You said this in G Chat earlier, so now after the break, you have to kind of put this out there.
Justin?
What?
Are you talking? Can you hear him?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought you said after the break.
Well,
I was
they're
waiting
supposed
for
to
the
be,
break.
and it's not working because this is the beauty of live. Evan, is the video clip that I'm trying to hit working for you? Because it did not work for me. And Evan viewed it, so we're just gonna go. Justin,
you are Locked On Cavs.
I'm ready.
Your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Let's go. Tell me. Let's go.
It wouldn't be a Locked On Cavs production without a technical difficulty, and Chris left. So, guys, how we doing? We wait for Chris Manning to rejoin us. It's been a while.
I'll say it. It looks better with the three cameras anyway. We see the Locked On Cavs logo. I think it's better without them.
More of my face is always a good thing.
Here he comes
and
now.
He's back.
There he is.
And he's back.
No idea what happened. We're back and we're hanging in there. Justin. This is I worked on magazines in college. I can't claim any video, and Evan, you can roast unless you want. It's fine. Justin, you have a Cavs Grizzlies. We didn't talk about Cavs Grizzlies at all, which was on the Chase Down, which I think was for me the most fun. I think the most fun Cavs game I've watched all year, maybe.
I think it was too. What made it such a good game for me was just kind of the intensity throughout. Like both teams came out guns blazing. I think these teams recognize one another as up and coming rosters in the NBA. I mean, you look at Memphis's big three or kind of core three of Desmond Bane, John Morant, and Jaren Jackson Jr., average age of 22. Cavs, big three of Garland, Mobley, and Allen, average age of 21. Like, it's rare to see players that young and cores that young go out and win the ways that they do. And for both teams to come out kind of guns blazing, both competing, blow for blow, like the game never really got out of hand. Like it was always within a couple possessions. I really thought it was one of the better games of the year. I wish we got one. I wish we got a game between these teams where both teams were fully healthy and kind of in the swing of things, because obviously the season opener, Cavs hadn't really found their stride yet. Garland gets hurt 3 minutes into that game, and that kind of changes the complexion. But these are two of my favorite teams in the league. And I think obviously the Cavs are at the top of my list, but Memphis might be number 2 for me.
Yeah, they're awesome, man. Genuinely one of the most fun teams in the league to watch. They have kind of adapted their identity from this grit and grind thing to just being like, they're just so competent everywhere. They're so fun. They have an electric star in Ja, and then even a guy like Jaren Jackson feels like he's figuring it out in a way that we've kind of been waiting on him to do for such a long time. And like, I said this in the offseason. I would love for the Cavs to be a franchise like Memphis, a good but maybe never quite great, but always consistent kind of franchise. And yeah, I just love them. It sucks that we didn't win. I really wanted them to be able to take that one. And it does feel like various Darius maladies forced this one into a sweep, because he got hurt in the opener and then obviously was still getting his legs back in this one.
Evan and I were talking about this when we recapped the game, but I just generally want them to like realign conferences so I can watch these teams play more. I want them in a playoff series. I want this Darius like competition to because think about just how even just them directly. Ja is goes to Murray State, 4-year college, took a while to get to where he is, or 2-year college play, excuse me, but not like this heralded recruit. Darius, top end recruit, kind of assumed one and done, all this stuff. I just love that you could have that kind of tapestry. And frankly, Ja would go to Evan. I know Evan agrees with me. Ja would go number 1 in a redraft of that class. Zion probably still goes number 2. Darius is 3. These are 2 of the best 3 players from that draft class at this point. It's just fun. I want more of it. I want more of it.
I was a little tongue in cheek when I tweeted out, but it really does feel like kind of this generation's version of Chris Paul and Darren Williams, where it's
So which one of them is fighting a former NFL running back on a Jake Paul undercard in like a decade?
Ja.
Okay,
It's
okay.
got to be
Ja.
Ja. You know,
Just-
the more athletic one that maybe some people have an argument is the
okay.
better player for now. But
Okay.
I think from a longevity standpoint, it's going to be Darius. That's a little bit of a take there. But I think there's some parallels in the style, the way that they play. And I also I just think these guys are franchise point guards in the same way that those two were. Obviously, the parallels of both of them being in the same draft class. I just think it's really great. And I agree with you, Chris. Like, I think it would be fun if we got like playoff series against these teams. It's unfortunate that would have to be an NBA Finals. I think if there was expansion and realignment, it would probably be Minnesota moving east. Just kind of some of those football rivalries with Chicago, Milwaukee, and whatnot. But you know, like I love these matchups. I wish we got more of them, but I think both point guards are just so special, and it's cool that they're friends off the court as well.
Yeah. No, that's the coolest part because I asked Darius about that post game and I said, like, well, what's it like to go toe to toe with Ja? And he's like, well, first off, he said, I'm not an all-star, but he called Ja an all-star. And then he said he doesn't care if he's an all-star. I should clarify. But it was just a fun game. Like Carter said, Darius's legs kind of gave out at the end. Darius shared with the media post game that whenever JB pulled him from the game, he absolutely agreed because he needed every second of rest that he could get just because he felt winded. And I think that is going to be his next step from COVID recovery. Is just like, that's what Kevin Love shared with us too, is just his lungs getting used to being out on the floor and kind of playing at 100% speed, not facing your teammates in practice scenarios or scrimmage scenarios or things like that. So like that's going to be an adaptation for Darius going forward. And like it's a real bummer because it's a momentum killer, because I wish selfishly as just a fan of one of these two teams and someone who admires what the Grizzlies are building, because I've on the record quite a few times saying I'm envious of what they've kind of built, because they're just an analytics just like dream, and they're also just like so loaded with young talent that it's intriguing to see where they go.
Can I say this though?
What?
Cavs have a higher ceiling.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I don't think that's wrong. Just because
I don't think
Garland,
that's a hot take. Just because
Mobley
is the central
yeah.
figure for Memphis, and then you have like Jaren Jackson Jr., which I think he's going to be really good, but I'm still a little uncertain about what he's actually going to be.
He's someone that looks up to Mobley, right? Like he's
Yeah.
like, you know what, in a couple of years I can get where he
I could
is
be
on
like
the
this
defensive end of the
Evan-
floor.
I mean,
'Cause
that is
I
the.
think
I mean,
Tyus
like
Duncan
all,
said-
all jokes aside, that is the crux of
Yeah.
the argument is Evan Mobley might be a top 5, top 3 player in the league, and the Grizzlies don't have anyone like that yet.
Yep.
And the Cavs supporting players are also looking really, really promising as well. Not to say Memphis' supporting players aren't also super promising. Bane has taken a real jump. Jackson is turning into a legitimate player, but like as good as Ja is, I don't see top 3 in the league for him.
Yeah.
The thing that I think they have ahead of Cleveland now that I think is going to be one of the most important Cavs projects the next 3 years is just depth. Like I think their depth is just a little better, and I think the Cavs
A lot better.
I'm trying to be a tad bit kinder these days, trying to mellow out in my old age. But like I think that's one of the biggest Cavs projects next 3 years is like developing two-way guys, developing G League guys, developing guys that like if they're picking in the 20s, can you like get your version of Desmond Bane? Can you get your version of like a guy that's going to hit for you instead of like it being like a Dylan Windler situation?
So you're asking if the Cavs can take advantage of the Celtics not properly managing their assets?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because we're kind of comparing the core 3 for these teams, and like Desmond Bane, same age as Jared Allen, Jaren Jackson Jr., 2 years older than Evan Mobley, Ja obviously a year older than Darius Garland, and then after that, like you got these guys from Memphis who weren't even active in Dylan Brooks, 25 years old, really like he check player, but he competes really hard, and
I would, if I was the Cavs and I could have Dylan Brooks on my basketball team, I would take Dylan Brooks on my basketball team like 10 out of 10 times.
Oh,
He's
100%.
awesome.
And that goes beyond my Canadian bias. You got Kyle Anderson, who, older. I don't know. What's that?
You're Canadian?
Yeah, you know what? You wouldn't be able to tell with my plaid shirt or and my accent and everything else. But
the fact your football game, your weird CFL.
God, Justin, it's -12 Fahrenheit. How do you people live up there?
Man, check it with the wind chill. It hurts the skin to be outside right now, which is a little bit miserable. But I do think
Oh my
the
goodness.
interesting part is
minus 34. Everyone send Justin warm thoughts.
yeah, minus 34 with the wind chill. It's not fun right now, Evan. But like the Cavs have these other assets in Colin Sexton and Isaac Okoro. And I think that's the real kind of swing pieces, because if one or both of those guys kind of materializes and turns into like a real kind of foundational piece, and both of them kind of, they fit in different ways. They both have kind of, in my opinion, relatively high upsides. I think that's kind of the real swing thing, because the Cavs obviously have the player with the highest ceiling in Evan Mobley. You have Darius Garland and John Morant. I think most people would kind of give the nod to Ja right now, but I think that those two are relatively equivalent. Like I think they'll at least be in the same tier.
Yeah, the Ja just has the track record of his rookie year, I think, is like the probably advantage, because Darius' rookie year was just, will go down as like probably an anomaly in what his career looks like it's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, when Ja was the same age, he was just, chilling in college.
Yeah, who among us?
Look at my bias just filling up the screen.
I mean, look what it is. All right, after the break, I want you guys to sell us on Rondo, because I would say in ranking how we feel about Rondo, I'm the most pessimistic. I'm like pessimistic. Evan, you say you're kind of in the middle on this?
I'm cautiously optimistic just because of his track record with other teams.
Okay, and then you guys
I think Evan and I are in the same tier, and then Carter's probably the highest on this move.
All right, so I want,
which is rare.
Yeah. I want you guys to sell me on Rajon Rondo. Yeah. I want you guys to sell me on Rajon Rondo after the break. I'm not going to like disappear and like ether myself like last time, but got to tell everyone about our friends at Shopify. Shopify is, I think, one of our favorite sponsors, and they can help you save money. If you're someone who runs an online store, someone who runs an online business of some kind, someone who is just looking to create some infrastructure for your business, Shopify could be a really powerful tool for you and your company. They give entrepreneurs the resources once reserved for big business, so upstarts, startups, and established businesses alike can sell everywhere, synchronize online and in-person sales, and effortlessly stay informed. Scaling your business is just a journey of endless possibility. Look, when this Locked On Cast podcast started like selling ads, we were not getting much, and now we're doing Shopify ads and Built Bar ads and all these other great ads, and like Shopify could help. And look, because success is a million milestones on a forever rolling path, Shopify can help you track that in that way. Shopify powers millions of businesses from first sale to full scale. Check them out today at shopify.com with the promo code LOCKEDONNBA, by the way. All right, Rajon Rondo. Darn right. Got to get those shills.
Nailed it.
Look, Evan knows this copy's honestly, you need an editor for being
That's
honest.
why I gave it to you.
That's right. That's why you did. All right, Carter, I want to start with you, because you're the guy who's like, keep the trains on time. I'm going to turn to you. Keep the trains on time here. Rajon Rondo, sell me on it.
I just think I think what they're going to ask him to do is right within what he's got left in the tank. I think that's really the root of my optimism here. I think that when you look at kind of Rondo's deficiencies as a player at this point, the finishing around the rim is not there anymore. Guess who else is finishing around the rim was not exactly sterling. Ricky Rubio. It's fine. They need him to find they need someone who could throw a decent entry pass to big men. He can do that. They need someone who can spot up and hit a wide open three. He can do that, or at least has proven the ability to do that. And then when you look at the things that is really painful for him, like, for example, on defense, he's just the worst gambler at this point in his career. Like, not a lot of fundamental stuff and a lot of just hunting for steals. If you ever wanted a security blanket for a guard who is making a mistake, is there a better one than Evan Mobley and Jared Allen to clean up the back line? So, and then when you look at the personality concerns, where has Rajon Rondo failed? He has failed when he is playing in hyper rigid systems that don't let him kind of just be him. And like this concern about like small market, he's played in weird markets on weird teams. I'm not super worried about that. And like in terms of the prickliness, I think he's going to be a little different than Ricky, right? Where Ricky is a good vibes guy by all accounts. Rondo is not always a good vibes guy, but he is a respected guy by players. I think he'll probably be a dick to the kids a few times, but as long as the kids on this team are receptive, and I think this says a lot more about the players around Rondo than it does about Rondo. But I think Darius Garland is not going to get all up in his feelings if Rondo lights him up after a mistake. And I really trust their ability to kind of like take in what his particular leadership style and not, take it personally. So like, I just feel like he's not going to be the exact same player as Ricky Rubio by any means. Ricky is a chaos engine. He's a push the pace.
We should say that I asked this to JB earlier this week, and he was explicit. Like, they're not like, I can't ask him to do the same thing. He kind of didn't even made it seem like they're going to play the same amount of minutes. Like, he's not just going to say, Rondo, have the Rubio.
Oh, you missed that part. He's going to play Rondo probably 25
Yeah,
minutes.
no, that was the end of the question that I asked. That was the end of the question I asked. I was there. I missed. Yeah,
he was there.
You did when Rondo showed up. I didn't know when you
I had to.
you have obligations. I understand.
Kids.
No, but he like if anyone is expecting like Rondo to just come in and like be Rubio, just like in a different jersey, I think
you'll be disappointed.
Yeah, yeah. But the Cavs are expecting that. I think that's good.
If you know what Rondo is, which is a very methodical, he's a little LeBron-esque in that way, where he'll only push when he has an advantage. He will not just generate an advantage by pushing like Ricky would. But like. While he will take some things off the table, I think everything across the board he's going to do is 10% worse, at least. Again, they needed a functional dude who could run pick and roll. You look at the way Evan Mobley's played the last few games as a primary attacker while Darius was out. That could continue with Rondo on the floor. And Rondo can actually get him the ball in the right spots to do that kind of stuff. So, like, I just think they were kind of screwed before Rondo got here. And now they're not so screwed. And how could I not be excited then?
It is helpful. And for me, kind of looking at the Rondo situation, like it is a drop off from Ricky. I think what gives me some cautious optimism is what he's going to be asked to do. I think he can still do it. Like, I think he can still run a functional pick and roll. You look at the stats in LA, he was playing about a third of his minutes with Russell Westbrook, which there is no scenario where that would work. They had a -20 net rating together, only a -6 net rating with Rondo on and no Westbrook. But without Russell Westbrook, his assist percentage jumped up to 38%. His true shooting percentage jumped up 13 points. Every single one of his metrics got a whole lot better without Russell Westbrook on the court. And I think he's going to be put in a better situation to highlight what strengths he still has. And obviously, he's not going to be the bailout option that Ricky Rubio was. When the half-court defense is set, the first action and second action break down, and we just need someone to go out there and take a shot. At the start of the year, it was Sexton. Then Sexton's down. Rubio has to take those shots. Rondo's not going to step into the role. I think that what's going to end up happening is you give those opportunities to Evan Mobley. You give it to young guys that can actually benefit from those opportunities. They might not do as good of a job as Ricky Rubio or as Sexton would have. I think they definitely won't do as good of a job in those spots as Sexton would have. But what I do think is they can benefit from that experience. So I think kind of dividing up Ricky Rubio's responsibilities and giving Rondo the playmaking and other players the scoring and sharing that load, I think it can work out.
This is where I'm fascinated about what JB Bickerstaff decides to do, because I think like the solution here is like play Rondo like 25 minutes a night, maybe closer to 30. Mix and match him with like Jetty Osman minutes and things like that, and see how those look. Because like the Rubio Osman thing was like a real thing to me in terms of like Jetty not being like an absolute tire fire this year. Evan Mobley has also just been like the best. It's the best offense he's played since he's come back from protocols. And that obviously started one game with Ricky Rubio, but he's been just like as efficient as we've seen him. We've seen him as, I think, aggressive as we've seen him. That little left hand shot he hit in the short roll last night. Just incredible. Like, and this is with him shooting poorly from three. Like, he's not even like kind of the full like unicorn experience yet, right? Like, we're not seeing that version of him, but he was 6 of 12 last night, 5 of 6 from the line, had 17 points. Like, not even like a great game by his standards, but he's been just much more efficient of late. And like, I want to empower that guy, and I want to see what JB's instincts are here. Like, is he going to empower Evan Mobley to do more? Is he going to empower Garland to do more? Just like, Garland and like wouldn't shock me if like for like a stretch here until they're fully healthy and like kind of everything's in order, if like Garland's playing like 38 minutes and Mobley's playing 30 minutes.
I don't think it's going to go that high.
Mobley
think
played 38 minutes last night, and Garland in his first game back from COVID protocols played 36.
Yeah, but there's 2 nights off after that. They are going to get a little healthier. You're going to get Jetty back. You're going to get Rajon Rondo in the rotation. Like right now, they don't have anybody in the top 35 in minutes per game. And like, yeah, it's selectively you're going to have nights where these guys shoulder a larger burden and whatnot. But especially with the schedule getting easier, I think there's going to be some garbage times. There's going to be opportunity to rest guys. And I'm not necessarily concerned about Garland at 21 years old playing 34 minutes a night. But, you know, it is something to monitor. I do think what I would encourage is going a little bit deeper in the rotation, just even if it's blowing some leads and whatnot, just keeping guys a little more fresh. Like I think sometimes you are maybe going to have to punt on a game or two, especially when you do have guys go out, because I don't expect them to be completely healthy the rest of the year. I think you're going to have to be a little more conservative with how you approach it. But I do think like overall, I'm not too concerned about the minutes. I am, however, really frustrated that this is once again another situation where when we could have really used Isaac Okoro in this lineup, he's missing 2 to 3 weeks. Like I really wanted him to get some of these playmaking reps and to show a little bit more, because he had been having such a good stretch. And it's just so frustrating that when a guy once again looks to be adjusting to a new role, that all of a sudden he's out of the lineup. And I'm grateful it's only 2 to 3 weeks, but as a fan, like that is just such a frustrating thing to endure, because I think that there is a really great opportunity for him to make an impression prior to the trade deadline here. Not saying that he'd be traded or anything like that, but at least giving the Cavs a better opportunity to assess what they have going into that deadline.
Yeah, COVID really messed with the flow.
It's awful. It's the worst.
Injuries keep coming at the most inopportune times. Injuries and COVID keep coming at the most inopportune times for this Cavs team. They really do, and that's just unfortunate, because I think you guys are all spot on Rondo. I'm just cautiously optimistic because he does have a track record of being a bit of a dick. But Carter is a point. If it's a rigid offensive system where he's allowed to kind of freelance and do what he wants, he's a little bit more non-receptive to those scenarios. He did say today that he's a fan of JB Bickerstaff just because JB is very point detail oriented and doesn't really put up with a lot of bullshit, which I think Rondo resonates with a little bit. I think he's just going to be having some struggles. I think that because they're really going to be drilling home defense. I feel like they're going to be doing that because he said that's the first thing they did is just practice defense today. And I think it's just because the Cavs are a defense first team, that's going to be what their primary focus is. And I think Carter's right that having Evan Mobley and Jared Allen as a safety blanket for Rondo certainly helps. It's just the fact that Rondo's 35 years old. I have my reservations. And I think like 25 minutes a night's really pushing it. And JB's mentioned like there's going to be more often not closing lineups that feature Darius and Rajon on the floor together, which I think if you want to just like look at last night's game against Memphis, instead of having Brandon Goodwin on the floor, you have Rajon Rondo. Maybe that turnover doesn't happen then. But at the same time, it's a butterfly effect and you can't really dwell too much on it as well. But at the same time, like I'm interested to see what happens, but JB's also a coach who's very comfortable with not rocking the boat too much. So, I mean, let's be frank, he benched Jetty Osman for almost a week just because Jetty was so erratic on the floor at times, just to help Jetty kind of calm down and kind of brought him along slowly. So like Rajon starts to rock the boat or acts like a dick in the locker room, I don't think JB has a problem pulling the hook on it. And going back to like Kevin Pangos or even RJ Nembhard, if he really wants to get some squeeze out of that too. And also we talk about trade deadline.
Sorry to cut you off, but I think also having a veteran coach like Sidney Lowe that's worked with so many guards and whatnot, like I think there's enough infrastructure in place. And you look at those times where Rondo kind of butted heads with teammates and coaches and whatnot. A lot of times it's, okay, I'm fighting for opportunities. I still think I have more left in the tank than I do. And he's at a different stage of his career than he was when he was in Dallas or Chicago or anything like that. And there is a need. There is an opportunity for him. There's minutes for him to play. He's not going to be fighting for that. I think that's kind of a situation that's conducive to at least getting the best of whatever he has left. I don't think it's going to be the moon and the stars, but I do think it's going to be something that they need.
Evan, let's go to break real quick.
Yeah, let's go to break. And let me give you a quick word from today's sponsor, BetOnline. BetOnline would like to wish you all a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the #1 spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. New year and a new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKEDON to get started. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, do not wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022 and beyond. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts, and the exclusive betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network.
All right, Justin is
back.
there.
Your fellow
He's
Bob
back.
Kitty.
He's back. My butt.
Everything good?
Yeah. Sorry, Millie. My daughter pulled over a corner table in her nursery, and I heard a loud thump mid pod. But then Kylie had texted me and told me there was broken glass all over her carpet. And I don't know if you guys know this. Broken glass in a nursery is bad.
I've heard that, but
I know none of you
good
are
news
parents,
is,
but
the good news is, Carter, that you know without a doubt that is your daughter, because interrupting in the middle of a podcast, there's some resemblance there.
That's her game.
Yeah, looking for attention when the mics are recording. That's
something like that.
Oh my goodness.
God.
Oh boy.
Do you guys have anything in terms of like Cavs things you feel like you haven't got to discuss that you feel like has is there anything that's been racking either of your brains? We'll take some questions, but is there anything that you guys feel like you just have you want to fire off here? This is a safe space. There's obviously nobody watching. It's just us four talking.
I'm glad Dylan Windler had a nice game last night.
I feel very happy for him anytime he just gets on the floor and things just don't go catastrophically.
Buddy. Just shoot.
Yeah.
He took some shots. One of his best finishes I've seen him make got wiped out by him stepping out of bounds. Yes. That was a little unfortunate. Great transition defense that one time. That was really nice to see from him.
Speaking my language, that transition defense on Brandon Clark, where I was just like, oh, hell yeah, Dylan Windler. You figure. It's just he's so frustrating because you can see him do the stuff that's not shooting, and you're like, oh, he knows how to play basketball at a competent level, and then you're just like, Dylan, just shoot 900 threes.
Chris, I'm gonna know Dippy real quick. Of course, he knows how to play basketball at a competent level. He is in the NBA.
Look, there's guys
so annoying.
Oh my god,
we know, Evan.
Thanks.
I'm Team Chris on this one.
You know what? We're going to gang up here, but I completely agree. That's a frustrating thing with Dylan Windler. When he was healthy last season and we were kind of feeling good about what he was doing, it was okay. He makes smart plays. He kind of moves his feet on defense. He's got good length. He's fitting into what the Cavs are doing, but he just becomes invisible so frequently.
Just getting exercise out there, as you've said.
Yeah, he's just out there exercising. And the one thing that you would expect him to be able to do, which is shoot, because he's got a gorgeous jump shot. It looks so good every single time.
Do you remember him in Utah at Summer League? Just every clip coming out of there was Dylan Windler shooting a three from 4 feet beyond the arc.
Even to start this year, he came out and he was pulling up and taking shots, and I was feeling really good about it. And there's going to be an opportunity here for someone to earn some minutes, whether it's Dylan Windler, whether it's Brandon Goodwin. I thought he played a really good game. Finishing's a little bit concerning. The fact that he's not really a threat from three, can't hit his free throws right now, that sort of thing concerns me a little bit. But there's an opportunity for guys to go out there and earn a spot, if not in the rotation, just outside of it, where if guys are out, they're going to be counted on it and they're going to get those opportunities first. But the Cavs aren't it's no secret the Cavs aren't the deepest team in the world. That certainly hasn't changed with more guys going down with injuries. But it is nice to have a guy like Lamar Stevens come in and play well and give them good minutes. It's nice to have Dean Wade give them good minutes. Two undrafted players there. And if Dylan Windler could get himself into that mix, my God, that would feel nice.
That's the difference, I think, between Lamar and Dylan is that like Lamar has limitations, like not like he's not a good shooter. Like
you could argue he's more limited as in terms of the archetypal NBA wing than Dylan.
Yeah, he's a 4 on like last year they played him as functionally a 4 on offense where he would like stand at the elbow opposite from whoever's playing center and like dive to the rim. Like they were not like trying to masquerade him as a wing. But like I feel like he goes out there and it's like I just think Lamar probably will like make some positive things happen. There's going to be some tough moments, but like remember that play against Atlanta he had last year? That was like one of the highlights of that season. Like he will go out there and like make some like I'm putting this in air quotes because it's like cliche and like I don't always know what it means, but like he makes winning basketball plays. Like he is not invisible when he's on the court. Dylan is oftentimes just he looks, and I don't know if it's like hesitancy. I don't know like if it's just like I
imagine it might be a little bit of the Darius. I think it's a bit of the Darius thing where he's kind of obsessed with the right play and being a good teammate. Like you'll see I think he genuinely sometimes would rather pump and drive and try to kick out for a wide open bucket for the Cavs than take a moderately contested three. What the Cavs need him to do is take the moderately contested three.
He needs a shot caller for every single time he passes up an open three.
Nikolai Coster-Waldau, shout out to him. Just be his shot caller. If you guys have seen that, it's great. But what they need him to do is just like, I think they need him to like just be in rhythm because I can't imagine if you're him. You grew up playing AAU. You played 4 years in college where you played a lot of minutes. And then when's the last time he's played regular NBA? He played that stretch last year where he played like some regular NBA basketball?
Yeah.
And then like the couple games and a couple games in the G League and now it's just like there's no rhythm anymore. Like Isaac has talked about that in terms of like his offensive role, right? Like he's like I'm used to having the ball in my hands. I'm used to like being sort of more centralized. And like I think every guy goes through this. It's like one of the things that like I just remember Channing Frye saying over and over and over again when him and Richard were here was like it's knowing your role. That's how you succeed in this league. That's how you stick around for a long time.
Dylan I think that was part of Jetty's issues last year. He didn't have a consistent role, and he was coming off the bench for the first time. Really,
Jetty Osmond saying we need to play like the Utah Jazz I was just like, yeah, he has no idea what kind of team he's on right now. He has absolutely no idea what team he's on.
Because he knows he's Joe Ingles. He knows that.
Turkish.
That's what he had in his heart and mind.
Yeah. I just wonder if Dylan is just so out of rhythm that it's just like, and I don't know how to fix that. I don't know if there's like a good way to fix that. You know what I mean? Like, is it just you play? Like, should you just play him like 10 minutes a game? Should you like I loved him in the G League. I loved him getting minutes in the G League.
Two things. One, do you think it's a confidence thing with him? And two, do you think the G League hitting pause on their season after the Vegas bubble for a couple weeks is kind of playing a factor in both of them? I mean, obviously he's playing because out of necessity. This team is very thin on the wing with Okoro and Osman out, so they kind of have to play Windler out of necessity.
I mean,
but
I just watched Lance Stevenson like hit a step back three over Kevin Durant.
But Lance Stevenson just doesn't care.
He was in the G League.
Martin Rickman told me there's a reason why he signed a 10-day contract.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't.
I think some of it is, and I think Carter was pretty on the money there. We were saying it's similar to Darius, but I think it's similar to what Duncan Robinson had going on the first year in Miami, where you have something that's working. You have all these guys that are playing well out there. And then when you get your opportunities, you don't want to mess with what's going on, right? Like you just want to be a part of the success. You're afraid to have a high usage when there's so many players that are playing well and whatnot. And he's just trying to fit in, where he needs to understand we're giving you the ball. The ball is moving you on the perimeter with the expectation that you're going to shoot it. We want you to finish some plays. And right now, I just don't think that he's got I think he's probably got confidence in his skill set and his ability to do a bunch of things. But right now, it's better off for him to simplify what he does on the court and just focus on taking those open shots and being someone that has gravity, understanding that if he is a threat to shoot, it's going to open up the other facets of his game, which is very similar to what Darius went through. Just obviously a different dynamic between someone that's bringing the ball up the court and someone that's starting off possession, standing in the corner.
I have to stop and break the rhythm of the pod. Do you guys know how many points Lance Stevenson has in the first quarter of this game?
It's amazing. I've been
He has
watching that
20
game.
points.
I've been watching that game on my
Really?
phone because of the Kyrie thing, and I'm just like, why is Lance Stevenson acting like this is his team? It's because he's Lance Stevenson and he has 20
And
points.
it is his
It's like
team.
Zaire
It is his
Williams
team.
going off against the Cavs. God, was I mad every single shot he hit.
Yeah,
Man,
this is a
shooting like
little
35
different.
points.
This
No,
is
I'm-
20. This is a man who scored. That's a man who scored 10 points in his 14 minutes. Lance has 20 in his 6 and has been out of the league like 3 years.
He's just been like one of the many NBA veterans who's like come back through the G League, like Greg Monroe signing like a second 10-day contract, Nick Stauskas,
Soft.
Isaiah Thomas with the Dallas Mavericks after being with the Lakers. Like, there's just a lot going on. Guys, do you want to take some questions?
Sure, why not?
Let's take some listener questions. Okay, let's find the spiciest one possible. Well, Greg Schwartz slandering Ohio University in the comments is just rude, frankly.
Yeah, well, he's a salty zip.
Went to a freaking commuter school. Unbelievable. Evan, you got a question that's kind of directed at you. Justin, all I'm saying is that if you had to go to one of these towns, Athens, Ohio would offer you a nice amount of fun, and like I don't know what to do in Akron. All right, Johnny Taylor.
I've had a great time in Akron. Don't you say that.
Were you with Ryan Morton? Because that's why
I was with Mort. I was also with our buddy Jacob Rosen. Like I've had some good times.
Memphis Grizzlies employee Jacob Rosen, may I say. Yes,
trader.
All right. So hey, Evan.
Hey.
Earlier in today's Locked On Cavs, you indicated Caris LeVert could be had for nothing. What could the Cavs go to get? And we talked about this in the chase down, but if you were, I want to ask, like, just kind of tweak this question. What would be the maximum you would pay for Caris LeVert if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers? What is like the most you would give up? What is like your cutoff point if you're going to make a deal?
It just depends on the protections in that first round pick this year, because I think you can use that as a bargaining chip to really get the trade going. I think you maybe use those second rounders from Houston and San Antonio as well as options. I mean, like Justin smartly pointed out, like who knows if those have any value this offseason. Maybe you cash in on those now versus later, because who knows what happens with the Spurs. I think the Rockets are going to stay bad. Hot take. I think that's going to be the 31st pick in the draft. But it's the protections in the first and how much Indiana's willing to go in on this trade. It wouldn't be the first time the Pacers have hosed the Cavs in a trade scenario, so it also probably won't be the last either. But I said this on the chase down feed already. Caris LeVert just isn't happy in Indiana. He isn't getting along with Carlisle. He just isn't meshing. I mean, he's miserable. Sabonis is miserable. Turner is miserable. Turner's made it very known he's miserable in Indiana. So I think it's just they're going to slowly start offloading these assets. And if the Cavs can get Caris LeVert, a player they've always admired, a guy who's close to Jared Allen from the times
Pickerington,
together.
Ohio boy.
There you go.
Almost Ohio Bobcat. If it weren't for John,
Bobcat.
if it weren't for John Beilein, would have been an Ohio Bobcat.
If it weren't for John Gross, man, come on.
Well,
anyway,
Akron's now coaching those loser Akron Zips, may we say?
Absolutely.
I've got to take about protections.
Hit me, Justin.
Go ahead.
4.
Stop.
4. Right,
Okay.
protect them from the lottery spots, but beyond that, like I think the floor of this team is so good. And the other thing is, if you're not giving up, if you're hanging on to Colin Sexton and Isaac Okoro, that is at least 5 guys that you are invested in developing and giving developmental reps to next season.
Mm-hmm.
Cashing that first round pick into a guy that has a year, an additional year on his contract that could be used as a trade asset. Like if you are drafting, like even let's say a Chris Duarte, like a best case scenario for kind of a late lottery pick. Like I just don't think you're going to be able to give them the developmental reps that type of player needs. And getting a proven player that can showcase himself well with the Cavs and either earn a role with them or kind of play their way into a trade asset, just top 4 protected, because that at least protects you from a scenario where, let's say you go into the play-in, you lose in the play-in, all of a sudden you have a lottery pick and it jumps up to the top 4. You want to protect yourself in that scenario, but if you're talking about a pick at 12, 13, 14, I'm not too worried about losing that for Caris LeVert, because I do think that he would help beyond this season. What I will say is I would try to expand that trade a little bit, even if it costs a second round pick, to add someone like a Justin Holiday, like getting an additional ball handler in there, or a Torrey Craig, one of those kind of smaller contracts that can be mixed in at least. I think I would want to get a little more depth on this team so that the rotation isn't as shallow.
Torrey Craig definitely feels like a JB Bickerstaff type player.
Oh,
so
100%.
Can get him.
And as another guy who could like defend the point of attack, just like because like it was like so glaring that it's like when Okoro isn't playing, it's like I don't know who else you like. Darius did I think as well as you could expect, but like I don't trust Rondo doing that. I would more trust Rondo, I think, off ball at this point in what he is, as smart as he is, even still. Like I would probably trust him as sort of an off ball guy. I don't trust Jetty doing that, like. And Darius has enough going on. Like they're going to see him try to probably hide him on like the off-ball shooter at certain times. I think I would lottery protect it, but I also just like Martin Rickman has gotten me thinking about this in terms. He's just like I don't even think I think the Cavs like need to worry about having their draft pick next year.
I don't think they do either.
He's just
I don't either. Now that Justin's kind of laid it out, you have all these players you're trying to develop already. You don't need to bring in more. I think you need to start bringing more adults and players to support this existing big three you're trying to develop.
This is another important thing about the first round pick and just being top 4 protected is it helps Indy win the press release a little bit more. And that's like what's more valuable than those 2 seconds is you really want Indy to feel good about what they're bringing in to sell to their fan base and make it a little easier for them to stomach trading a player for nothing, basically, for this season. And like that's why the first round pick matters, and that's why not insisting on a lotto protection matters, because like ultimately, like you're looking to like make this deal outwardly palatable for both sides.
So let's transition to another trade thing. Someone asked about Cam Reddish. We've had a couple questions about Cam Reddish. What about Reddish? Everyone likes LeVert more. Stefan asked in the chat. I think I like LeVert more.
I do.
And I also think if we're talking about like Atlanta might like, I don't know if you guys saw those Travis Schlenk comments from earlier this week where he's basically like, we might like be making some kind of hinted at them making trades and we can't keep everyone. He's a guy that like, I think you can get. I think that's pretty clear. He's also extension eligible.
He's 22 though. LeVert is 27. That's got to mean something.
No, it does. And it's like, because like Jared Allen is like the old guy of this like young core right now, and he's 23 freaking years old. You know what I mean?
Here's my thing on LeVert.
Is proven. LeVert's proven, I think.
Much more so, yes.
LeVert also has a set contract. You have to pay Cam Reddish this
offseason. Cam is extension eligible because he's a Darius Garland guy. So you have one more year. So you both have 2. They both technically have 2 years. LeVert just might be like, or the Reddish you would have restricted control over, but he also might be like, I want lots of money. And LeVert might be like, okay, like I'll take
some security because he's had bad injury problems.
Yeah, I'll take like a slight. I'll take I'll go down to like let's say like 15 a year. There is a cap boom coming in theory. We would think just because of TV money, but like that's speculative. But yeah, Justin, continue.
Yeah, like my thing is, I think LeVert threads the needle between what you lost with Colin Sexton and with Ricky Rubio, because I think he's shown some point guard skills with Malcolm Brogdon out in the health and safety protocols. You're seeing kind of those high assist totals and whatnot. He can provide that, but he also provides you with some scoring punch. Cam Reddish, what concerns me is, Atlanta can't pay anybody, but the Gallo contract is a bad one. He's not contributing. Bogdanovich can't stay healthy. He's not contributing in the ways that they thought. Hunter can't stay healthy. And despite all of these wing options not being able to stay healthy and stay on the floor, they are still aggressively looking to move Cam Reddish, and that concerns the hell out of me. I do think the fact that you can wait another year to decide on whether or not Cam Reddish, whether or not you want to pay him, that's attractive. You guys mentioned that on the trade options podcast that you had done a couple weeks ago, and that kind of warmed me up to the concept a little bit more. But the fact that he doesn't provide any playmaking concerns me. Like people get upset at Colin Sexton with over 4 assists a game at the shooting guard position. Cam Reddish is just averaging over 1. He's a 33% 3-point shooter for his career. I know it's up this season, but a big part of why those percentages are so bad and why his efficiency is so low is he takes really bad shots. I think Karis LeVert is a smarter player. I think he's a more developed player. And right now, I think that's what the Cavs need, because you have enough guys that are on the development track. I think you need a little bit more proven talent. And it's not like LeVert is that old. LeVert is also one of the best character guys in the league. Like every coach raves about how much they love him. He's got a relationship with Jared Allen. They're close friends. Like I just think the fit is so smooth. He threads the needles of guys you lost, and there's just fewer questions. Like especially if you can find a way to get a Justin Holiday or Torrey Craig in that deal as well. Like that's just such a more attractive option.
I also think you probably got to give up a little more to go get a guy like Reddish. I think his price tag is going to be higher because of the drama around Indy and around, with LeVert's kind of health issues he's had in his career. We should not understate. This guy has been banged up.
Yeah,
on the draft.
He also had cancer too.
Well, yeah, I'm not counting that as an injury issue. He was hurt all through college, and
the Schlenk sorry to cut you off, Carter, but the Schlenk comments today also kind of, I think, tip the hand of what they're looking for. Like the idea of combining Reddish with Gallo to consolidate and get a more proven option. They're trying to get off that Gallo contract, and they're looking to bring someone in that brings immediate value to them. And I don't think the Cavs really have anyone that fits that bill that they'd be willing to give up this season. Like Ricky Rubio out, Sexton out. I don't think Okoro fits that bill. I just don't. Lauri Markkanen doesn't fit that bill. Like I don't think that there is a natural match.
The only person who
two.
Fits that bill is Kevin Love, and I don't really want to trade him.
And I don't think that they'd want to trade for him either. Like you already invested so much in John Collins at the power forward position. You got Clint Capella, you got Onyeka Okongwu. Like I just don't.
You'd be paying Kevin Love more money next year, I think, than Gallo is due next year. I think Gallo only has like $5 million guaranteed on his deal next year. Kevin Love has like $28 million guaranteed.
The big difference is Kevin Love's good at basketball, but still, like
I also would like just want to like hear. I want to like just for 10 minutes, just hear like Rajon Rondo and Kevin Love like talk. I don't care what it's about. I just want to hear it. You know what I mean? Like I just want to hear them like dialogue back and forth for a few.
I made this point on our Monday podcast on the Chase Down, but I kind of like the fact that Rondo brings the Cavs like a little bit of attitude, like a little bit of a dick, someone that's willing to throw a punch on the court. I think they're missing that. It's an old school take, but I love that he's a dick.
Who's most likely to try to challenge him in Connect 4?
Connect 4?
Do you know he's a big Connect 4 head? This is like a Rondo.
Jared Allen.
Famous
Jared Allen. I'm going to go Jared
Allen.
Yeah,
he's a very cerebral guy. I'm going to go Jared Allen.
I would.
He's a
I'm
gamer.
Just saying, I would like.
Shame.
I would like to
the
watch
Cavs don't play the Suns again because I'd like to watch Rondo throw down a CP3 in a Cavs uniform.
Hey, there's still the NBA Finals, Evan.
Okay.
That's true.
Okay.
That's
Evan.
true.
Evan, do you want to pick one more question, then we'll exit out of here?
Skating through. Actually, I saw a good one. I can't pull it out, but how do you guys feel about the Cavs being bumped to NBA TV? Granted, it's for Clay's return to the court, but they're on national TV, technically speaking, this weekend.
I don't accept fake national TV games.
Yeah,
give me on TNT or give me nothing.
You know what? They've gotten some love.
Saying,
We've
like,
gotten some national games up here in the Great White North. We have got a few national televised Cavs games already this season, so that's kind of nice. Normally, NBA TV games are a little annoying for me because I like watching my games on League Pass and getting the arena camera and all that good stuff. But I at least I'm still. I'm one of those idiots that both has cable as well as every subscription package, and I can't afford it, but that's just the way I go because I want live sports and I don't want to deal with streaming lags and all that crap. So you know what? It's nice to see them get a little bit of shine, and hopefully they can ruin Clay's return the same way they ruined Paul Pierce's jersey retirement. That'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, I gotta say, the Clay is much. I know, like he had the comments in the finals, but like he's not.
Bro,
like,
I love Clay.
I love Clay.
Clay fits my vibe more than any other NBA player. I really like it. I like that team a whole lot more now that they don't have KD.
I still hate them. But it's a good hate. It's a good sports hate.
Yeah.
It's fun to have a team to root against.
Did you guys see, by the way, the Steve Kerr? We'll just end on this. Did you guys hear see the Steve Kerr comments on take fouls today?
No.
Basically said he wants the FIBA rule where it's like if you do a take foul in the open court, it's a technical, and I want that. I want that right now.
I want some jail time, but yeah, I'll settle for a technical.
I think
JaVale McGee for prison.
Excuse me, Cavs legend JaVale McGee, sir. The noted crypto enthusiast JaVale McGee.
It's not a conversation.
Never
It's
have
such
I
such
been
an obvious
so
one.
upset at one player that I love so much as I was at JaVale McGee nodding his head on the bench after he took that take foul.
Yeah.
I'm like, JaVale, I absolutely adore you, but in
Yeah.
this moment, I am very upset.
I take fouls are my least favorite part of current basketball. They drive me absolutely. They drive me insane.
Not even a conversation. This is just an easy yes. Do that. Fix it, please.
I don't know why they would haven't even done it. Is the thing. I
I
don't
don't
have
know,
a good.
man.
I don't have a good reason.
I don't know, man. Maybe just trying not to do too much too fast, but fix it. Sucks.
Guys, any final taker you want to get off here? Any final Cavs thoughts? Anything we didn't talk about you want to throw out into the wilderness to get yelled at?
I have my last thing that I need to get off my chest.
Please do.
Go for it, Phil.
How dare you, Chris, say that you're glad the Cavs don't play on Christmas anymore? I've been harboring this one for a month.
Cavs observer Chris Manning.
Look,
let's tag team this guy.
I hate super exciting high stakes basketball with the national eye.
I
love my
off.
family. I want to spend time with them.
Exactly. I want a day off. That's the day I spend with my in-laws. I don't want to have to explain why I'm blogging on my telephone. Also, frankly, if we're gonna be like completely transparent about this, someone pay me much more money and I will work on Christmas. Just someone throw me lots of money and some nice healthcare, and I'll gladly work on Christmas. I don't know what to make pay me enough.
Love of the game, Chris. Come on.
Love of the game, Chris. You know what? I really want, while we're on the Christmas subject, I want the Christmas script jerseys back. Like it's that Cavs one, I regret not buying that.
It's
to
the
this
best.
day.
Yeah, it is a very good Cavs jersey, and like Nike has dropped the ball since they got the jerseys. It is utterly. It's very bad.
If the Cavs playing on Christmas meant we would get good jerseys like that, what would your take be, Chris?
I'm much more into it. I think they should make more things just spectacles. If we're being honest, like just make things like
It's easy.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
In-season tournament, whatever it is. Let's get some spectacles, baby.
The in-season tournament is going to be such I'm sort of accepting of it because as
you're a soccer guy. You should know the integrated schedule. Right? If that's the way they do it, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, give me if you look the moment that some team randomly wins that doesn't normally win anything. Like the year the Kings win it, Kings fans are going to be like the in-season tournament's the greatest thing of all time. And then no one's going to care. That's what's going to happen.
Tristan Thompson will have another child, not parented
Wow.
by Khloe Kardashian to celebrate.
Wow.
And on that note.
Yeah, on that note, on the last pod, Evan disparaged Colin Sexton. On this note, he did this. I don't even know what to say. Evan,
I maintain the stance they retired 13, so it's not all hate.
It's true. Justin Carter kind of went at me. So do you have any final things before we go?
No, I'm too rattled.
Do you have any?
This is a lot of Canadians getting attacked for one podcast. So
hey, congrats to your Jets, though.
What do they do now?
Not to your Jets, shit, the Bombers.
There you go. Back to back, baby.
Oh boy, things are going great here. Anyone, thanks for joining this long Locked On Cavs live. Thanks for coming over if you were on the Chase Down feed as well. We'll all be doing more podcasts. The Cavs are back heading into a little West Coast road trip that sure will be tricky for them, but we'll see how it goes. Sunday, as Evan alluded to, is now on national TV. The likely return of Klay Thompson. Quite unfortunate for the Cavs that Isaac Okoro can't chase him around and try to put him in a personal Okoro prison cell for however long Klay's going to play in that game. But alas, that should be fun. Evan, take us out.
Thank you again for everybody making us your first listen of the day. If you need a second listen, go check out the guys at the Chase Down Pod. They're doing it 2 days a week. Sometimes it depends too.
Twice a week.
I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. The holidays have really just messed up everything for me right now. So time is just relative at this point. But yeah, again, make them your second listen. If you need a third listen, check out Locked On Bets, Locked On Browns, Locked On Guardians. Locked On Browns is going to be a doozy after this Mary Kay story about Baker Mayfield hating the offense under Kevin Stefanski. But thanks again for making us your first listen. And make sure to give us a subscribe on YouTube if you can. And until next time, Chris and I will be back. That's it. I don't know.
Can't believe that the Browns are the third least competent football team. Justin likes a champion. Carter has the freaking Mike McCarthy, Dan Quinn Cowboys just rolling, and the Cleveland Browns are just.
Is the podcast still on?
Cincinnati Bearcat legend Zach Collaros
would cut off my
winning
hand
multiple
for Joe Burrow.
championships up here in Winnipeg. Shout out to him.
This is bonus content. This isn't going on the audio version.